Guys, welcome to Mindset Masters. Today I've got the privilege not only talking to one of the most decorated AFL player, but I would say a really good friend of mine, a father, a really high community guy who, everything he does it well. This guy, when I was thinking about how I can introduce him or how I can talk about him, maybe just because he's too close to me, he's a guy I really respect how he goes about things and what he stands for. I could not find words that could actually describe him and give him the credit that I have. Not talking about you, but the credit I have and how I look at him and how I hold him special. On a daily basis, not everyone can say they played 228 games in IFL. IFL is one of the toughest games I've seen, and I loved it. And not every day somebody will say they came out of a 2-knee recon and still performed. We're not talking about football here. What we're trying to understand here is why is it that in life there are people who achieve the things they want to achieve and end up being successful, and there are people who don't achieve what they want. For my experience, it comes down to one thing, and that's the mindset. And so for today, I want to be able to dig deep in one of the best person who can actually take us on a ride, the ride of how he used his mindset to be able to play 228 games, to be the captain of one of the teams, Fremantle Dockers, to be able to be known as the guy who was a hard nut and giving the club everything. He was loved by the club and the fan as, I can't even describe it. He's going to leave his legacy in Fremantle. He was the first person to wear number 8, and he will always be remembered as the first person. Shaun McManus, thank you so much. Thank you so much.
God, I want to give you a hug,
bro.
If someone met me like that at home, I'd be married for years.
Shaun, and I want you to take this serious. Like me talking, I'm actually feeling goosebumps. Like just imagining those things and me saying them. And I actually mean them. Not so many people can say that. And I'm so grateful that you're sitting here to give me this chance to be able to talk to you, because I just want to really understand what you think, what you thought, and what makes you who you are. So I just want to say, just give us a bit of yourself.
Oh, look, I appreciate that, Tom, but I sit here probably a bit embarrassed by what you've just said there, to be perfectly honest.
Did those things happen?
They did.
Did I lie?
No, but there is so much on my resume that you mentioned a few things on my resume there that I feel that are unfulfilled, and things that I certainly could have done a whole lot better. My football career went over in a flash, although at the time it always seemed like it was never going to end. But it
went in a flash, 228 games.
Before I could blink, it was over. Mm-hmm. I'm on to different things and different challenges. I'm always looking to challenge myself continually as I've got older, because I'm searching to be better at everything I can do.
Yeah. Now, Shaun, just tell us that journey from East Fremantle, yeah?
Yes.
That little kid being drafted from East Fremantle to this guy who, whether you want to say it or not, every time the Dockers talk about number 8, it will be associated with you. That's a legacy that you're going to leave. So I just want you to picture yourself as that kid being drafted. Did you ever think this is something that will end up being where you are?
Well, as a kid, I watched the football shows on TV, and I tried to emulate the stars that you would see, kicking goals, taking marks, and doing all that stuff as a young person. Then I was able to just go through the ranks, and I'm a competitive person. I'm one of 5. I'd always fight my brother. Me and my older brother, we would compete with everything we did. Mm-hmm. And we compete with all the neighbours, whether it was playing cricket, running races, fighting people in the streets, and playing other sports. So everything was competitive. And when I got the opportunity to play football, then that just kind of, I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the fastest, I wanted to be the strongest, I wanted to be the most aggressive on the field. And that kind of just progressed until I was 15. My brother had made, as a 15-year-old, the state team, and I was 13, and that was something, he was someone I wanted to emulate. So I was forever chasing him, and not that I was living in his shadow at all, but I was certainly chasing him and wanting to live up to the billing that he'd already reached. And fortunately enough, when I got to the age of probably 15, when I played in the first state team I played in, I had to, first of all, really work for it. But secondly, there was a realisation that I can compete with anyone.
Now, Shaun, we want to talk about mindset. Okay, we want to dig. I want to understand your thinking. I think it was 2005. You know, the crazy supporters, they were asking for you to basically retire, but you came out. You had one of the best season of your life. Yes.
Yeah. That's right.
So of course, you do hear the outside noise, and they affect you in one way or the other. What was the thing that made you, from people calling you to be able to be gone, to actually going on and having the best season? What was the mindset like in you?
I wanted to prove people wrong that year, in particular coaches, and I felt, and I still feel this way, that I lost my way in a number of ways from injury, but there was people behind me who were really great and they helped me out, and doctors and physios and all that. But as far as the coaching staff went and the people who were around me, the leaders, so to speak, they lost trust in the way I was playing footy, and therefore I doubted myself a lot, Tom. It wasn't until I played a lot of games. I played a handful of, more than a handful, played 7 or 8 games in the Waffle, and for want of a better term, I dominated those games.
Yeah.
I dominated those games because I had pride in my performance, and I always would say that if you're good enough to play, if you think you're good enough to play AFL and you're playing in the Waffle, then someone should be able to go, whether they know football or not, go to the ground and go, that is the best player on the ground. That is the best player. And so every week that was what I was determined to do. I did that, but I still had doubts about the way, if I could still play AFL after being dropped and not having the backing of the coaches. But we played a game in London at the end of the season. It was after the season. It was an exhibition game, and I played very well on that. And it was at that moment I thought, I'm not going to let these fucking people determine the way I'm going to finish my career and or stop me from playing many, many, many more years, because I'm physically capable of doing that. And I can't let their negativity just knock me down. So I just went to work, and I knew that can people train harder than me? In my opinion, in my time at Freo, no. I don't think so. Are they going to give it all in the weights room like I did? No. Are they going to give it all on the training track like I did? No. Are they going to give it all in the running sessions? No. There will be no one who will be able to compete with me in my mindset. Yeah. Now, other people have their different things, the way they viewed it, but that's it. So if I can put that all together and train every single session like a professional, but also at a level where I can just turn that into what it should be like in gameplay. So I train as you play. And I was able to do that and train at a very high level that year. I went also up to a new coach. His name was Mark Harvey. He joined the club as assistant, and I went and asked him if he could have an open slate about me. Okay. Not think about what the other coaches may have said.
So you actually approached him?
I approached him. He was new. I just wanted to say, and I said it to him, can you keep an open mind on me? Because I've been on the outer, and I just want you to judge me on what I'm doing. And as the season started, it was really interesting, Tom, because the first preseason game I wasn't selected, and I killed it in preseason. I dominated. The second game we played Collingwood and there was 10 people on the bench, and I played a small amount of time. But in the time that I was on, not that I played brilliantly or anything. I just played and did okay.
What's happening in your mind? You didn't get chosen. You may be given. What's happening? What's your mind telling you here? Because that's what the kids or somebody trying to achieve greatness, that's what they want to be able to tap in.
Every single time, so that little game that I get to play against Collingwood, that was a step forward from previously where I've been. So it's working, and I'm training, and I'll still bring it to life at training. Every day I'll bring it to life. If that's on the football field, if that's in the gym, I'm going to bring this thing to life. So when I played that little game, brought it to life, never was the best player because I didn't have the time on the field. But then, okay, that's one step forward. We played another game the next week, didn't get a game. Okay, I'll stay positive, still train at the high level that I'm going to train, demand more of myself than anyone else could demand of me. And then finally, it was the last practice game before the season started. I went and saw the coach and I asked him if he can play me in the middle of the ground because I knew that he would leave off some of the other better players out of that final game. And as soon as he said, yeah, okay, I'll give you an opportunity in the middle. And I just thought, you fucking beauty. He's opened the door now. I'm going to kick the fucking thing in. That's what I thought, and that's what I did. And I dominated the game against Port Adelaide, and they didn't have a choice but to pick me to play the first game against Hawthorn that year.
Which you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shaun, was it about physically being able to outtrain everyone, being able to be just go, or was it about your mind that actually, if you had to look at that, because you say you could run more than anyone, you could train as hard as anyone. So was it more of a physical ability, or was it more was it more of a mindset thing that actually got you there? If you had to,
Oh yeah, definitely mindset. If I could turn back the clock, Tom, the number one thing I would do would spend more time with the sports psychologist in the early days. The guy at the Fremantle Dockers, he later went to West Coast, came back to Freo. He's done about 5 Olympics. His name was Neil McLean. And when I went and saw Neil and was able to get rid of some of those negative thoughts that a lot of people had in my mind and just focus on short-term goals, longer-term goals, being the best I could be, it really changed everything. But when it came down to the training perspective, harder and stronger for longer. I don't think there was times on the footy field I make mistakes and I fuck up and, you know, I told you I didn't have the blessing of the coaches or they didn't see me in particular light. But when it came down to the physical stuff, I knew that I could hack it longer than anyone else. So in my mind, when we did 5 1Ks at some stage in the third 1K, when everyone starts fucking dying, then I know that I've got them.
Beautiful.
And, you know, too seldom do that happen in games where it happened.
Yep.
But I wish it would have happened more where I looked at someone and go, you're gone. And that made me feel energised. I knew that I was on top. No pain's going to hurt me and I can keep going.
Now, Shaun, jumping on to the next thing here where you are the co-captain of Fremantle. This is a privilege, not more.
Yes.
Yeah. You had the worst season that year. Okay?
Yep.
What made you keep, what did you draw on? Because, you know, when it's not happening on the field, the outside noise is so much. The club is not, it's not a happy vibe. So what, as a co-captain, where was this and what were you drawing to be able to go again? What was the driving force?
Oh, the driving force is always pride and performance. You know, I represent a whole group of people, which is the community of the Fremantle fans. I represent the people that work for the Dockers. I represent my family, more importantly, in a lot of ways.
Yep.
And I represent myself. So I've got to be able to walk out there, do my job, come off and hold my head high. That wasn't always the case. And if I had my time again, I've mentioned the dealing with the sports psychologist, but when I was captain, I made a fair few mistakes. I took my eye off my own performance a lot of times, and I spent a lot of time around my teammates trying to lift them in really dark times. And not that that's a bad thing at all, because you need to do that. But I reckon I lost focus on my own performance at times. And the best leadership that you can show, number one, is performing on the fucking day and getting it done, and then making sure that you're doing everything you can to lift the spirits of your teammates, help them get better in whatever way that means. But I reckon I went one way over the other, Tom, and I'm a bit disappointed with that.
Yeah. You can only learn from it. There's
There's
no disappointment.
Yeah.
So was there anything that or anywhere you used to go to actually, yes, you're presenting the club, the people, your family, but was there anywhere where you had to draw the energy? Because, you know, we're not winning. You are the leader. And this is something like CEOs, managers can actually tap into. So this podcast is just not about, we're not talking about food, we're just talking about what are the tools people can actually chip in their mind. So did you have anything that, like a practice or somebody to talk to or anything that you felt for when the going was hard? You just say you were not performing as you expected. The games are not coming. The supporters are every maybe you walk. How did you deal with that? Because that's a lot of negativity in a sense. But how did you deal with that? Because, you know, supporters are not supporting you the way you want. You're not winning on the field. Your performance on the field, it's like you're running a company, you're running at a loss, the staff are not performing, and everything is not happening. What did you do to be able to come out of that? Oh, yeah. Is there something you could advise somebody, or if there's a captain or somebody who's working and said what you went to be able to achieve?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to say that I didn't handle it well all the time.
Yeah.
What I learned was that you've got to stay the course. Too many people, when the pressure comes on, start looking for different ways of doing things.
Yeah.
They get off their roadmap. They forget the daily grind, which is doing, for what are the better way of describing it is you need to get to the gym every day because something goes wrong and you come up with excuses not to go. And, maybe I'll do this instead. Maybe I'll do that instead. That's when the wheels start to fall on. You need to stick to your game plan and believe wholeheartedly that this is the way forward. I think a lot of businesses in particular take their eyes off what they're trying to achieve themselves, what goals they've set for themselves, and look in the rear vision mirror at things that have gone bad and focus on them too often, and or look at the opposition and change their focus to, oh mate, they're doing things a bit better over here. Maybe we'll change. Maybe we'll turn left, but I wanted to go straight, but I'll turn left because they're doing that. They're doing that, we'll change, blah, blah, blah. And I think that's where people go wrong. And I reckon that's where we went wrong. What kept me going at that time and getting back on track, and I'm not saying I was on track at all the time, I wasn't. But getting back on track is getting back to my small focuses and as a group focus. What are we trying to achieve? How are we going to go about achieving that? Well, it's bringing to life every single day that we turned up to work.
So you have these goals that what you're trying to achieve and it's not working. Did they have doubt of the system? Do you have the doubt of management? Did you have the doubt of your team? And did you ever have that, like your mindset?
I never had the doubt of my team, and I did have the, in management we're talking about the coach. So I had the doubt of the coach, and that coach got sacked that year, so that made it very difficult. It did lighten the mood up at times, and I think we were able to look around at each other and go, no, we can perform together. We've got to stay the course and believe in each other. Those times, it's really funny because those times galvanise people more than winning, I think. And some of my best friends in football, the guys I have the most respect for, are the guys that I've been through hell with. When we're down the bottom of the ladder and not winning a game, when we're starting to emerge, losing games, emerging. When we're in arm wrestles, maybe we should have won a game, but we didn't. And then other times when we did win those games by coming over the top. Those people were they were in the fire, man, with me. And I have enormous respect for them. And I know that whatever they do in their life, they'll be able to take those lessons and move forward.
Now, Shaun, bang, the first knee recon, bang, you're gone. That's like, okay, this is fine. I'm gonna take it on. You get into rehab. Your mindset is like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go through the course of this. I'm strong mentally. Blah blah blah. But again, bang, the second one. Where is that mind? What was the difference between the first and the second?
Well, the first time, obviously, you have thoughts of just getting back and playing again, and you didn't think that would be the end of your career. Maybe it's certainly stuff things up, and all my plans are out the door for the next year. But it was the second one, I thought, well, this could be over from a career perspective. But after you stop feeling sorry for yourself, which is 48 hours, and you have a cry with your mum, you've go into surgery, and then that's it. Next day you got to turn up and get it done.
So was there anything that said, looked at yourself and goes, this is the second one, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm just going to throw in the towel?
No. Never.
No?
Never.
So you were happy to go through the whole year again, you're not playing footy, you're not training with your mates, and you're a competitive person. It's really hard to keep a competitive person not being competing with other people. What drew you to keep going while it's just you?
But I got to compete against myself on a daily basis. Am I disciplined enough to turn up and get it done? Am I disciplined enough to get into work whilst I wasn't running or something, but I fucking put a pool buoy between my legs and swim up and down the pool by myself? Am I good enough to get around the guys, even though I'm suffering because I can't get out there play, but get into the gym and just start setting records and, get as strong as physically possible, get my knee back into a healthy position where, touch wood, obviously, that these things don't happen again. I definitely felt sorry for myself, Tom, but it didn't last. It didn't last for more than 2 days. As I said, my mum, I got my mum to drive me to have an MRI on my second one. I knew I was fucked. But the night that I did it was against Port Adelaide away, and my friends rallied around me at the hotel, and they knew I was cooked. I was done.
And
with
you
my
knew
knee.
it too.
Yeah, I knew it was done. They don't know until you have the MRI, but they rallied around me in such a great manner. And so if they're not going to let me down, then I'm not going to let them down. And then, obviously, as I said, my mum picks me up from the thing and we go and have an MRI, and the guy says, yeah, you've done your knee again, and, you have a cry and all that stuff. But once you've had that operation, bad luck. Yeah, it's bad luck. It's got to move on.
Will you say that was the lowest part of your career?
No.
What was the lowest part of your career?
Getting dropped and not selected.
So
Because here's the difference.
Yeah.
When I was injured, I didn't have any control. So no one, how many people come up to me and say, fuck, wish you were out there, Shaun, all this kind of stuff. So I wasn't seen in a poor light, but when I was not playing and not selected, when I was doing my best, there's no excuses. I don't have a fucking knee injury or anything like that. That is the heartbreaking time.
And what did you learn from those moments that you've been able to carry in your life at the moment? Those tough times of...
I think I handled my knee injuries better than I handled my...
looking at the tough times that you were dropped when you're fit, you're firing, but you're still dropped, and you think...
What have I learned?
Yeah, what did you learn from those times when you're being dropped?
I'm capable of much more than I think. Yeah.
And that's what you brought into...
Yeah, because I got to believe at times, and we're lucky to be in the room sharing some time with a young man that I swam to Rottnest with last year, and you've got to believe that you have the mental capacity to overcome any obstacle coming your way. And I just brought up that Rottnest swim because I haven't challenged myself to a level like that when I was playing football, whether I can get back into the team, whether I can overcome injury. And at that time, I had the mentality that I could, and it had been 15 years since I had to know what I was all about if I'm still that person. And putting yourself through pain and endurance is the only way to find out.
Shaun, I don't know if I will say...
Did that answer your question?
I don't think so, but
No.
I'll come back to that.
Yeah, come back to it. Sorry,
I'll come
Tom.
back to that. No, don't be sorry. Now, Shaun, you had 4 coaches, yep?
Yep.
You played under 4 coaches. Out of those 4 coaches, who was the most inspiring and gave you tools as a player that you've been able to use in your life at the moment?
Oh, I'm going to say 2, because the first coach I had at East Fremantle was a guy, he was the senior coach. His name was Ken Judge, and Ken's passed away now, but I knew he believed in me, and he was hard on me. Probably some of the senior players mightn't have thought that, but I thought he was always hard on me, and he always matched me up against people that were older and better at the time, but he would make me scrap and fight and, give everything at every training session just to compete with those guys. But I knew he had my back.
He believed in you.
Even though he challenged me every single day. And so what I took out of that was that the capabilities I had, but also you've got to be competitive at everything. You've got to scrap and bite and do whatever it takes. And then when I went to AFL, Jared Neesham had a lot more flair in his game as a coach. And what I got out of him was enjoying it, enjoy playing your football, and show some flair. He encouraged you to be the best version of yourself. So one coach encouraged me to just compete and fight and grind and be hard, which is a great trait. And the other one encouraged me to show some flair, enjoy it, and express yourself.
And you've been able to use that in day-to-day grind.
Absolutely. And my other 2 coaches were shit. I hated them.
Is it because they dropped you?
Yeah, and they didn't believe in me. Yeah. Absolutely. They treated people differently. Yeah. And I just don't agree with that at all.
Now, Shaun, there is a kid out there that they would like to say they want to play 228 games IFL. I want you to maybe explain to somebody who's out there, not about the game, but the mindset that one needs to be able to acquire. What are the things you've looked like you sacrifice, or you know that you sacrifice? You know, because we have to sacrifice something to be able to get what we want. The things that you sacrifice in your life to be able to get to where you are. Yeah, like there's a kid listening to this, or there's a CEO listening to this, there's a manager listening to this. What are the sacrifices that we need to be able to do in life to be able to perform at a higher
Well,
place?
first of all, socially, when you're young, socially you've got to give up stuff. And
What did you give up?
Well, you have to give up going to parties and stuff because you've got a higher purpose. Your higher purpose is to turn up and act like a professional. And I didn't do that all the time. It took me a while to get that one. And I definitely had FOMO from missing out on birthday parties and 18ths and 21st and stuff like that. But when I finally got it, Tom, it was I'm not missing out on anything. I'm not. My friends aren't going anywhere. They're still there today. So there's those things, which is socially. What else do you have to give?
What did you give up? Or what mindset did you have to acquire to be able to play at that elite level? Because everybody wants to live that life.
Yeah.
But there are very few who gets there. So there is a different mindset that you need to have to be able to get there, or else we'll all be there.
Yeah, well, everyone, that's absolutely true. But can everybody turn up every day and get it done? No one can.
Yeah.
I saw a thing about Ronaldo. He said, here's the blueprint. He acts like a professional every single day of the year to be the best in the world over 20 fucking years. And in AFL sense, that's the way you've got to be these days as well. There's a lot of people that turn up, but will they do it every day? Will they train like it's a game every day? Do they push themselves to the limit every day? No, it just doesn't happen. And doesn't happen generally in a workspace either. People have some down times, and that's okay. But in elite sport, you can't. And the other thing is, in elite sport, is in a business, it takes there a bit to lose your job these days. When you're in a business and you're making money, that's you're seeing like you're doing a good job or whatever the case is. Unless you win the premiership, everyone else is doing a shit job. Your job is on the line. Every year, 20% of your own workforce gets the arse. And they might be good people, they might work hard. So it's the competitiveness that will never leave me.
Talking about competitive.
Because that's a survival. There's a survival part to that, Tom, as well.
Yeah. Talking about competitiveness, this is where I'm going to land my next question. I'm not disrespecting anyone, but most players, when they finish their career, I've seen a few players, they just let themselves go. I've seen you week in, month in, 1 year, 2 years, you still grind. What motivates you in life?
I think I've got more to give.
To give to who? What motivates you? What makes you wake up in the morning and do? Because you could easily just sit and not do it, like maybe half of the players that I've seen. What drives you to continue looking and being at peak performance, swimming all these rottenness swim, challenging you to do all these things? What drives you? Because you don't have to achieve anything. You've played so many games. You've played at the highest level.
Yeah, but I don't think I finished my footy career and look back and go, geez, I could have done things better. I could have done more. So, I mentioned there I've got more to give. I've got more to give. I've got to keep challenging myself. That's the other thing. It's easy not to walk in that gym door. And don't worry, mate, how many times do I bloody think, fuck, but I've got to walk down. As soon as I take that step towards Plus Fitness Subiaco, I see you and I'm like, I'm in. And I get it done and get after it. And then the same thing with swimming, it's that's been difficult. Fuck, I've turned up there, sat in the car park a few times and thought, oh, this is bullshit. But you've got to keep challenging myself. Every time I do that, I reckon I grow stronger and I win the battle again. And the fact that I mean, how boring would it be not challenging yourself, just turning up and, I don't know, turning up to life?
What
That'd be
goes
boring, wouldn't it?
what goes into Shaun McManus' head?
With all these things, I've got to see what I've got continually. Does that make sense?
I just want to know, like, I see that drive in you. You know, you're talking about, I need to give more. To who?
Probably to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's to me, Tom.
Mm.
I haven't thought about it a lot, but definitely. I'd be disappointed in myself if I didn't show up for myself every day now.
Yeah. Oh, that's very good. You're in an institute here, Fremantle Dockers, AFL, and the mindset is I have to push, I have to keep going. Then all of a sudden, the career ends. How was the transition? Because you're coming from a place where you're told what to do, where to be, how to do. There's a goal, there's games, there's all this. Now you've got out of that system. What kind of mindset shift did you have to? What did you have to shift? What did you have to give? What did you have to take to be able now to? When I talk about normal, because that IFL it's a bubble on its own.
Yeah, it's not normal.
Yeah,
Yeah, it can't be normal to play.
Yeah,
It can't.
Then you come here. How was that for you? And what are the threads? How did you have to shift to be able to get away from there and be able to be successful in what you're doing now?
Yeah, I found it really difficult because I was used to the regimentation of the way the day worked.
Mm-hmm.
And when you had a meeting, when you had conversations, they were really hard and fast conversations.
Mm-hmm.
There's no hiding.
Mm-hmm.
When I first joined in at my job that I've been doing for a long time now since I retired, it was so wishy-washy. There was no direction in meetings. People were mucking around and laughing and joking. There was just so much wasted time, and I was getting angry all the time. One of the first meetings we had, our big boss was taking this meeting. I sat down with paper and pen and stuff, and he started going through all this stuff. And after a while, I got up and I said, I've stopped listening 10 minutes ago. I can't believe I said this. Everyone talks about it now. I told him I've stopped listening 10 minutes ago, and I don't want to get any more out of this meeting if I stay here. So I packed up and I just walked out.
Why?
Because I was so used to having a genuine purpose and everything moving in a direction. Okay, this is what we're talking about today. Boom, 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 boom. Have a hard, tough conversation. We get out of there and we're off and we implement it. I found in the corporate world that too often that's not the case. It's wasted time, wasted words, and people not walking the walk. Everyone wants to say the right thing. And guess what? They walk out the door, they do completely the opposite.
So how have you been able to deal with that?
Not well.
Yeah.
I let a lot of it go, but then I also got the chance to stay involved in football and still have that
Attachment.
attachment, the discipline that goes with it, the conversations, and
Yeah. Now, Shaun, I'm just going to ask this question because I know your time is important to us. But, Shaun, looking at where you are and where you are now and understanding about performance and mindset, what will you change in your approach in your football career? What kind of mindset would you... Now you know what you know in performance, you know your body differently, you know your thinking is different. You've just mentioned you'll have spent more time with the psychologist or whatever, high performance coach, whatever like that. With what you know now, what will you do different?
What do I do different? Getting back from I'll just work totally on my mentality, because the work side of thing is going to get me in a position to be able to implement that on game day. And I believe I could outwork anyone, or certainly be up to the top level. So then it becomes a mindset thing. And I far too often, Tom, let outside influences, and it happened with coaches, throw their negativity onto me. And when they had constructive criticism, I saw it more as criticism and not constructive, and I let it weigh me down too often. And then when you do that, you become to do whatever that activity is, whether it's kicking, marking, or doing your job in a particular way. You start doubting yourself. And that's just the worst fucking thing to be in. So I would certainly work on my mentality so that I can look in the mirror. I've heard this kind of half a saying before, that I've got no doubt that when I look in the mirror, I can look at myself and say, I'm the person that I say I'm going to be, because I've done the work. This is me. This is how it is. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Any regrets?
Yeah, not seeing the sports psychologist way earlier. Fucking hell, mate. I butchered that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, my regret was I didn't. I think I could have performed better. I think I was hampered physically in the end from my knee reconstructions. I totally was a different player in the end, but that's not a bad thing because I was able to reinvent myself. But yeah, certainly getting stuck into the mental side of the game would have been the area wholeheartedly that I'd go back to and work harder on. That would take me maybe to the heights that I'd want to go to.
Yeah. And do you think players at the moment, coaches, CEOs of company, do you think they understand the importance of mindset and how that helps you to drive? And you've worked both sides, in corporate and in coaching.
I would say that most have scraped the surface and not everyone has then lived it afterwards. I think a lot of people would like to say that they are doing something, but then once they walk out of the door, that's it. They don't actually carry it on through their lives to get better, stronger, tougher, more resilient, which is a word that everybody needs to get hold of. Yeah.
Now, there's a young kid who might be listening to this from East Fremantle. You're an icon. They would like to be like you. What is the one...
Hopefully better, man.
Yeah, for sure. But what is one message that you would like to share with them, or one traits you think they need to be able to acquire to be able to perform at the highest level that you have been able to experience?
One of the biggest, there's two words are being resilient, to be able to cope with all kinds of adversity. So being resilient has to be one. You got to be super competitive. You've got to be super competitive, and then I don't know. You've got to really show love for the people around you, the people you're working with, and for the game. That's probably it, Tom.
You got to love the game.
You got to. You got to. Otherwise, you're beating your head against a wall. Yeah. You're not getting anywhere. There has to be an end result, and that is for the love of what you're doing.
To summarize it up, Shaun, how do you want to be remembered?
I think at Fremantle, a lot of people talk about how passionate I was for the club.
Not about the club. I don't want people want to hear. I want you to tell me how you want Shaun McManus to be remembered.
I just want my family to.
So your family. I'm not talking about the club. I'm not talking about the family. How would you like Shaun McManus to be remembered?
Oh, genuine would be the word. I'm working on that.
Any more?
No, that's it.
What else? What else would you like for people? In time to come, if people talk about Shaun McManus, what would you like them to say?
No, I think that's what I'd be after. Genuine.
Not hardworking, never giving up.
I think they're going to say, to be honest, Tom, I think from a football perspective, people will say that.
Yeah, but you can't say that.
Sorry?
You won't say people will remember me for...
Oh, they tell me those things, but the one that would stand out to me the most is the word I used before, because, again, that, you want to be who you say you are.
I think, to be honest, Shaun, you sell yourself a bit short in that sense. Before we get into that and I ask you the last question, I think you sell yourself short for somebody who's been able to entertain people, somebody who's, shown a lot of courage,
Yeah, but
resilience.
Tom, there's so many areas I fell short in, mate. There is.
But there is. It's like a double sword. There's the good and the bad, and then we can decide to focus on the bad. But the good things that how you've been able to reinvent yourself after 2 knee surgery, being dropped, and just what you've shared us. That's a lot of insight of how hard you've been able to work. Saying, nobody's gonna outwork me. I'll be able to go to that gym. I'll be able to work. That is a lot of resilience, dedication, hard work. You stay performing and training hard. So I think there's a bit of selling yourself short in that sense. Yeah. Now to finish this, I want to ask you this. I had to bring this up. You get the ball. David Warapunda just smashes you. In this DNA, he would have been maybe missing for 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah.
You stand up. I actually think you were cuckoos by that time. I don't think if you knew what you were doing, you take the ball and you kick the goal from the boundary. Do you remember that? Do you actually, just take me through that.
Yeah, I think, first of all, I thought I got hit by a car.
Is that true?
Yeah, I was hurt. Eventually, when I go, the big thing in footy, everyone wants to kick a goal, right?
Yeah.
So eventually, when I got to my feet, someone gave me the ball. One of my other teammates was trying to get the ball off me and take the shot at goal. So that kind of lifted me a bit. Like, fuck off! I've just been
competitive,
been smashed, and you want to take the ball off me? That's not happening. I'd been working on my goal kicking actually during the week and coming up with a simple plan, my process. What's my process going to be?
Yeah.
It was going to be start on my right leg, 1, 2, 3, I'm counting, trot slowly, kick, follow through, that's it. I wanted to simplify it. 1, 2, 3, trot and kick. And whilst I was all over the shot, when that ball came under my arm, I got pushed to the boundary to take that shot for goal. All I came back is the one thing I just had to go to straight away was to the process. All I did was say to myself, 1, 2, 3, which I did. 1, 2, 3, quick trot and kick with the follow. That's it. I kicked the ball quite high when you look at the shot in replay, but that's because of my follow through. And it went straight through. Well, after that, I didn't know what was going on. I sat on the bench for fucking 10 minutes and I was going, oh my Lord, I'm in all sorts of trouble. But it was the process, Tom.
I like that. I really, really like that.
Because when you're in all sorts, what do? You've got to go back to that stuff.
Stick to the process. Now, Shaun, I want to say Dockers were very lucky to have somebody like you. I want to thank you as a friend. I know how incredible as a father, a teammate, a workmate, a community person. You are an incredible person. I want to say, whether you see it or not, the people from outside, I'm sure they will share, whether you're an Eagle supporter, Collingwood supporter, your courage, your dedication, your hard work. We've all enjoyed it, whether we are supporting you or not. I want to say how amazing person you are, and thank you for the memories that you've given us. And please, I hope you never sell yourself short, because you are one of the most amazing person that I've met. And I cannot wait to see your roadness swim. I cannot wait to see other things that you're doing, because you've set the standard so high, and I enjoy following your journey.
Tom, it's an absolute pleasure. Thanks for your time, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you.